Hey everyone, Teo1904 here with another video about Diablo 4's open beta. I excessively played the Druid and I see a lot of negative feedback on him. I must say, a lot of the points that are being brought up I just simply disagree on. And I would like to talk about these points and have a look at what, in my opinion, are the real problems of the Druid class. First point that I want to talk about is the Druid unique class ability, or, well, lack thereof. We don't know what it currently is doing, or what it will be doing in the game's release. Right now, we just know, well, we don't have access to it, and this is a massive disadvantage to all the other classes that at least have some part of their unique ability available to them. Especially the Sorcerer, for example, has the enchantment slots, which have a massive impact on her damage output. And, well, we can expect that at least some form of damage is coming from that for the Druid as well. Let's talk about the leveling experience. I leveled 4 builds from level 1 to 25. The Werebear, the Tornado, Shred build, which is the Werewolf build, and in the end, the Lightning Storm build. I have very different results. The first build that I tried out was the Werebear Pulverize build, which was really a lot of fun, running into monsters and smash like the Hulk. But there was 2 issues. At the level around 18 or 19, when you get to the provocation passive, you need to be in Werebear form, basically constantly. Which means, well, you are losing a lot of resource generation. I hope that, well, with the unique class ability, that will not be a problem anymore. The second thing that I found was a bug with both enhanced pulverize and the passive provocation later on. Both of these abilities give you a guaranteed overpower proc after a certain condition is met. For enhanced pulverize, it is you need to stay over 80% of your life for 10 seconds. You have an indicator on your buff bar that counts up basically every second that you achieved that. Problem with that is after 4, 5, 6 seconds, it sometimes randomly disappears and you lose half of your next overpower hit, which feels obviously really bad. Provocation, on the other hand, requires you to be in Werebear form, which means you need to use Maul as your spirit generator, and it's not as good as Windshear is. So there is your next problem, resource generation, which I already covered earlier. The other issue is if you stay too long in Werebear form, funnily enough, the buff stops working. So there's another indicator on your buff bar and it just doesn't show up anymore. You have to switch back into human or werewolf form to, well, get it back up again. These 2 issues really made the Werebear feel worse than it should be. The second build that I tried out was the Tornado build, and there's also 2 issues there, and they're not that significant in comparison, but it still feels kind of annoying. First issue is sometimes the tornadoes just fly up into the 2nd floor and just don't deal damage to enemies anymore. And the second issue is, well, sometimes it just doesn't spawn a tornado. These are the 2 issues that I faced, but I know that critique on tornado is really the random pathing. And I really think the problem is not really with the skill. I think the problem here might be player. If you have an ability that paths randomly, you have to get in the monster's face to guarantee your hits. This is true for Diablo 2 back then, and this is also true now. As soon as you have the legendary power, everything is going to be smooth sailing from a distance, but until then you need to be in melee range. Next build that I tried out was the Shred Werewolf build, and while it really felt great until level 15, it started to drop off really hard after that. This is due to the fact that, well, you just stop dealing damage. It's just getting lower and lower, and it was really hard to keep it up. I think this build warrants the critique of being too weak at a certain point without legendary powers. The final build that I tried out was the Lightning Storm build, which was a lot of fun and I really enjoyed leveling it, and it was actually the fastest one that I did. Problem with that is it really is bad on the overworld. So if you want to level that one, just go into dungeons, and especially very high density dungeons, and you will just do fine. The only thing that you shouldn't do in there as well is facing any of the dungeon bosses. It's a little bit iffy against act bosses. Another critique point that I see very often is resource generation. While the rogue and the sorcerer passively regenerate mana and energy, the druid and the barbarian, and I think the necromancer, need to attack with their basic skills to generate their resources. But I don't really see a difference here because the sorcerer and the rogue both still attack with their basic skills. So what is the difference whether or not you are generating through the hits or passively? Maybe you can answer me that question in the comments below. The final thing I want to talk about is gameplay feeling. I really enjoy games where you don't blow up monsters nilly-willy every 2 seconds. I personally enjoy games where you have to engage, interact, and outplay abilities that monsters have. So for this purpose, Druid really excelled, and I really enjoyed that type of gameplay. On the other hand, while I was playing the Sorcerer, I didn't really get as much of that enjoyment because, well, every right-click simply blew up the screen, and, well, there was nothing really to engage with. And this brings me to the final point of this video, which is the controversy you might have been waiting for if you're watching the whole thing. I want Diablo 4 to be as balanced as possible, but I don't want them to start the power creep before Diablo 4 is even launched. My request would be tune down the sorcerer and the necromancer towards the druid, rather than buffing the druid to get on their level. And this is, as I said, to not get that power creep before the game is even launched. Please don't make them do that. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Feel free to sound off in the comments, leave a like and subscribe. And I see you guys in my next video on Diablo 4, where I will go through other feedback on Diablo 4, not only the character balance. Thank you everybody for watching, and catch you guys next time.